Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Dakota Christensen, welcome to Rebel News Daily Live Streams. My name is Andrew. Replacing, who knows who we're replacing today? Matt Brevner, who knows? There could be anybody from day-to-day basis.
It was supposed to be you and Matt,
Okay.
I believe. And then David Menzies was going to step in for Matt. But then something happened there, and I replaced David Menzies, and here we are. Andrew says, Dakota Christensen.
Dakota says. David Menzies hybrid maybe breaking down or something like that. His wonderful green utility vehicle. Rebel News Daily Live Streams. You can watch the feed that we want you to watch on rebelnews.com/live streams, because eventually we have to pull away from YouTube, Dakota, for the spicier topics, election related, vaccine related, I don't know, flat earth related maybe.
Global warming now. YouTube won't let you deny climate change in any way.
It's a good place, good direction we're going in. So we want you to watch on Rumble, Super U, and Odyssey, where you can give paid chats on Super U, Rumble, Rants, and Odyssey hyper chats from the future, Dakota. What's the first thing you want to talk about today on the big list of topics? COVID jails coming back?
COVID jails. I wrote an article on this yesterday. COVID jails, we thought were a thing of the past. In August, I believe it was, Trudeau announced the end of that. We've been fighting him in court over this. And in the midst of all the Omicron variant fears, 10 African countries have been put on a travel ban list. And if you're coming back from any of those 10 countries, straight to COVID jail for you. And apparently, the conditions there suck. We're seeing some stuff, reports coming out of there from people who have been stuck in these jails. They're not getting food, period, or they're getting terrible food. They're being forced there, being escorted there by security. They can't leave, can't eat anything else off premises. Terrible treatment, being stuck there. Even after getting a negative test, they're still held there for days.
Sounds a lot like how it was before. And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't banning countries racist not too long ago, not just a few years ago? And China. Now, Canada never banned flights from China because, you know, how much we love them. The United States did under Trump, which was called racist. But now that we're banning flights from African countries under a new variant, it's because Joe Biden's here, it's no longer racist. Or Justin Trudeau, he just knows what's best, I think. So if we want to bring up that article that you wrote about this, we can go ahead and read some stuff off of that. The screen is so small these days that I can't read it. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I think first we have the clip from that. We've embedded a clip in this article. This is from a woman who's posting her experience to Facebook, and it just seems so dystopian, kind of the vibe they have here. You can go ahead and take a look at this.
Yeah. Wow.
Come on, Mom. Just one moment, please.
The best part I like about this, Dakota, is how everything's just taped together. Very precise, very, as you can see the back wall there, just red tape.
Red tape all over. Symbolic, I would say.
I'm not videotaping you.
Very scientific. We know red tape stops viruses, just like the plexiglass.
100%.
Now, they denied at the very beginning that this stuff existed, that they had the white walls all over the entrances, and it took somebody also doing undercover video of this creepy dystopian future that we have. And of course you have your masked child, as you will.
Yeah. And that's also the thing, is people also saying, oh, you're blowing this out of the water, it's not a big deal, it's just to stay at a hotel. Look at that, they've got it all taped with plastic wall to wall, they're being escorted there by people, apparently the security guards outside of doors making sure you don't leave.
Well, what it used to be before all this, before round two, I guess you could call it, people were getting the wrong food, so people who were allergic to fish were getting fish. You had sexual assault allegations. You had people, like you said, testing negative or overstaying their stay and not being told that they were allowed to leave, which is why some people just got up and left on their own, weren't getting proper meals, dirty rooms, stuff like that. Terrible conditions all across the country. Do they really care, Dakota? And what's to stop them from doing the camp style of thing that they're doing in Australia? Is it just square footage?
Well, yeah, exactly. And I feel like now they're getting closer to that with how they're implementing this, because one of the biggest criticisms I see from people online is saying, oh, I got no sympathy for those people. They can leave if they want. Nothing's stopping them. But the accounts now from these people who are coming from these African countries are saying they actually have security escorting them the entire way. The moment they get in the airport, they're basically detained, read their rights, essentially told, you have the right to a lawyer, but you're going with us. They're escorted to the hotel. They have security guards waiting outside, making sure they don't leave. I don't know, it seems a little more like a jail to me than a voluntary stay at a hotel.
Well, that was the basis for a lot of stories back in the day now. It seems so long ago. The Chris Skies, the other nurse, all these people who just sort of just walked out. In fact, around the time I got a lot of messages from athletes who play overseas that were worried about coming back, hockey players in particular, both men and women. And a few of them, luckily, they just said they walked on through. They were asking for advice. They were saying, what can I do? And I told them all the right things, all the legal things, don't you worry. And they just said, well, good thing nobody asked me because I just walked through. So it depends, I guess, in Canada. It depends on how we're enforcing these laws day to day, as you see probably in your day-to-day life. Is somebody going to ask you for your vaccine passport? Is somebody going to tell you to pull up your mask? It only matters on the individual who's enforcing it, which is really usually Jimmy, Sally, and Tammy at the grocery store or, the restaurant that... I guess it's all of them. I was going to try to name a restaurant that doesn't do that, but I'm pretty sure it's all of them, except for, Jack Tuesdays I can name from a Tamara story.
Jack Tuesdays, that one taco place. You end up going to that taco place?
We did. They didn't want to be known.
But my question is, did you end up eating their tacos?
Oh,
Were they good
I did.
Tacos?
Yes, cameraman Lincoln bought 3 tacos, and I got 1.5. They weren't the best, and I'm going to say that only because they didn't want to do the story.
Well, you know what? That's unfortunate.
Yeah, only the truth with Andrew says. On the East Coast, Dakota, the progressive conservatives, I didn't want to say it, the PCs, they're getting a little bit of heat because they're not being very PC-like, are they?
Yeah, that's the thing. Our resident East Coaster here, a fellow writer, Rebel News, Margaret, she was the one who wrote this up. She was telling us that apparently people out in the East Coast, it was Nova Scotia, I believe it was, they actually believe that if they voted in a PC government, that there would be some real change and they would kind of end the vax pass or the lockdown restrictions because they expected the Conservatives to do allegedly conservative things, but
Nova
alas.
Scotians feel betrayed that voting PC didn't stop vax passports, PC Premier's office. So, yeah, a lot of people disappointed, obviously, in all the governments across the country. At one point or another, a couple years ago, I believe it was over 7 provinces, 7 out of 10 provinces, and the other territories were not some sort of conservative party. So a majority of Canadian provinces and territories were conservative parties, whether it was the progressive conservatives, the United Conservatives, whatever Saskatchewan likes to call itself these days. And, it looked like we were sitting in a pretty good position. We're headed in the right direction. Everybody's voting like somewhat conservative. Little did we know they would just become establishment conservatives with no real backbone who want to stand up for anything. I don't know what any of the parties stand up for anymore. I can't think of a single thing that the conservative parties in Canada actually stand for that is conservative. They talk about being fiscally conservative, but Doug Ford's $30 billion debt doesn't seem to sound like that's what he wants to do. And now I see that Scott Moe is saying it's time to stop, separating people on vaccination status. If we can find an article about that, he says it's time to stop othering them. And while he says that, of course, there remains restrictions in place, and they've had some of the harshest ones. We had to cancel and move an event in Saskatchewan for that very reason.
True that. But
it's happening all over the place in the world. Australia is deciding whether or not they should welcome the unvaccinated back into society. And it just gets more and more ridiculous as the days go on. Now it seems like we're going backwards. In the UK, and we were going to have Lewis Brackpool on, but he's doing British things in Dover, I believe. Which is a fun place. They have a not very good soccer team there. And they're just introducing their Vax Pass now, Dakota.
Yeah, this was kind of big news. Lewis was like, guys, it's happening. We're getting our Vax Pass. And I'm sitting here thinking, welcome to the club. Join the rest of us. That's also something that kind of, I was thinking about this. It's just the new baseline for us. It's our new normal, as much as we hate that phrase, but people have just become so used to it. It's like, the Vax Pass is on us, and it's kind of got used to living with it, and it's just step by step layering on the restrictions. I don't know, I feel like people are just getting so complacent that, sure, they're worn down, but they're learning to live with it, and I think that is not a good thing.
And Ontario just announced that it's not going to end anytime soon. Of course, they had plans to end it in January. I told everybody that's what they're saying now. I don't expect it to stay, and lo and behold, it is not disappearing. They said at least a few more months, says Christine Elliott, as she rose from the crypt in the middle of the night and, drank a vial of blood, and then she said 3 more months, or a few more months, I don't want to misquote her, for the vaccine passport, Dakota. and the masks were supposed to end in March, so maybe best case scenario here, we're going to end both of them at the end of March. Probably not.
Yeah, as soon as they made that announcement, as soon as they said it, and people are like, ah, guys, this is ending. January, the Vax Pass is gone. March, the masks are gone. No way. I laughed to myself for a good period of time. And I thought, wow, I feel bad for everyone who actually believes their government telling them now, we have an end date, it's going to end, it's happening. No, of course they're going to push this back. And now over this variant, which we now know has only appeared with mild symptoms in people, not a single hospitalization is recorded from the Omicron variant, and yet it's time to shut down our borders and push vaccines and booster shots and masks further and never end this because of this dangerous, deadly variant that'll give you the sniffles.
It's an interesting theory. Close the borders for all medical reasons, but also keep the border open for people to come across for any reason, whether it be drug smuggling, human trafficking, also having COVID, as we know they don't test them at the border for them to come into the United States. So there's all this, wishy-washy logic that's going on here. And in terms of actually lifting the vaccine passport and the masking rules, I don't see the masking coming to an end for a very long time. Of course, there's no evidence that it's actually stopped any spread, and none of these lockdowns have worked at all. But we're going backwards, and with the Omicron variant somehow, it goes right back. And we had this lull of 4 to 5 months where we don't have to hear from the head doctors and the people. But now we've brought back the Ontario Science Table, we've brought back the lead doctors, and they're saying the best thing you can do is just stay away from the unvaccinated. No mixing. When does the irony happen, Dakota, where we discover that, the mixing of the populations and Germany and Austria coming to hunt you down to make sure you're vaccinated? When does anybody in the government say something like, this doesn't look good, this doesn't seem good? It's like they listen to Twitter, and that's their gauge for what they should be doing. You go on Twitter, and it's like, great job, but Doug Ford, what about sick days? And other than that, there's nothing else we need to worry about.
100%, and I will also stop us there for a moment, because I'm realizing we've been mentioning some spicy stuff about COVID and vaccines and mandates here, and we are still on YouTube, and they are absolutely going to strike us down if we keep talking such spicy subjects. So I think we are planning to transition over to our alternative platforms because YouTube is absolutely going to give us a strike. So if you're on YouTube, please do join us. Go to Rumble, go to SuperU, go to Odyssey, any of all our alternative streaming platforms where we can speak freely and not have the YouTube overlords hopping in here and shutting us down.
Link in the description or rebelnews.com/livestreams. In the meantime, the interim, Dakota, I think we can go to rebelnewsstore.com. Producer Efron said, we are demanding you talk about it at least one time. He probably said 3, 5, 7 times, but let's get one in the bank right now. We've got Christmas stuff on there. If you don't want to buy particularly Christmas stuff, you're sick of ugly Christmas sweater parties, which a lot of people are. They've been buying ugly Christmas sweaters for a decade now, I think.
It's been too long.
We've got other stuff like the Let's Go Brandon stuff. Let's bring it up on screen here right now. We've got my favorite toque or beanie, if you will. We put it on. 3, 2, 1, on. 3, 2, 1, go. And go. Put it on the screen.
Yeah.
There we go. We got our favorite toque there. We've got our favorite merchandise. I love, producer Mocha makes fun of me, the Back to the Future reference, not Back to the Future. Whatever you do, Marty, don't go to 2020. Maybe we need to update it for 2021. And then we've got, there it is.
Yeah, look at that.
That's my favorite one I wear all the time. 1984 was not an instruction manual is a good one. Tamara in that Jack Tuesday video wears the we had our trial of communism and we would like to say no please.
Yeah.
That one. So many good shirts.
Personally, I love all the Rebel branded stuff. If you want to brand yourself as a true Rebel, especially if even if you don't want to wear like Rebel News stuff, just our low-key Rebel stuff, which is basically the Supreme logo.
Wow, Alex is gonna
throw that out there now. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Just kidding. But no, so all our Rebel News merch, you can join the Rebellion, all of our cool stuff. Brand yourself a Rebel. Join us. That's all in the store, and it makes great Christmas gifts, even if it's not Christmas sweater themed.
And that one that we showed you there, the Freedom Isn't Free, I believe is one of our best sellers. You see a lot of people wearing that one, even the Avi Yemeni.
The Avi Yemeni down under.
And if you want a discount code of 10%, you can put either Andrew10 or Dax10. That's DAX.
DAX10. get yourself some sweet merch, 10% off.
So play your favorites. I believe it's one use of the code per household, and any rebel you like the most, obviously Andrew or Dax 10, you can play favorites that way. Are we off of YouTube now? Got a thumbs up